What if I told you that Lewis Hamilton's crash at Zandvoort wasn't just a driving mistake, but a symptom of something much deeper going wrong at Ferrari? What if the real story isn't about one corner, but about a seven-time world champion slowly losing his grip on a car that seems determined to destroy his legacy? And what if everything we thought we knew about Hamilton's Ferrari move is about to be turned upside down? Stay with me, because what happened after that crash wall tells a story that no one saw coming, and it might just explain why Ferrari's championship dreams are crumbling before our eyes. Let me paint you a picture of how quickly things can fall apart in Formula One. Friday practice at Zandvoort should have been routine. Hamilton getting familiar with the circuit, finding his rhythm, building confidence for the weekend ahead. Instead, what we witnessed were two terrifying moments that should have set off every alarm bell in the Ferrari garage. The first spin came during F-Pone. The SF25 just snapped out from under Hamilton without warning. No gradual loss of grip, no building oversteer, just instant chaos. Then, barely hours later in FP2, it happened again. Same car, same unpredictable behavior, same look of confusion on Hamilton's face as he climbed out of the cockpit. Here's what makes this truly disturbing. Hamilton has driven some of the most difficult cars in F1 history. He's tamed beasts that other drivers couldn't handle. But at Zandvoort, we saw something different. We saw a driver who looked genuinely surprised by his own car's behavior. And that's when you know something is fundamentally wrong. The paddock whispers started immediately. Was Hamilton still struggling to find that crucial synergy with the Ferrari? Were the much-hyped upgrades actually making the car worse? Or was this something deeper? A fundamental incompatibility between one of the sport's greatest drivers and the car that was supposed to restore his championship hopes. But here's where the story takes its first twist, because Saturday told a completely different tale. Suddenly, the SF25 looked transformed. Hamilton found his rhythm. The car responded predictably, and he managed to squeeze out a P7 qualifying position that felt like a small victory after Friday's chaos. The Ferrari garage breathed a collective sigh of relief. The upgrades were working. The learning curve was paying off. Hamilton was back. The talk around the paddock shifted to strategy, to tyre offsets, to the possibility of rain mixing up the order. Zandvoort rewards boldness, and Hamilton was clearly preparing for a tactical masterclass. For the first time in weeks, there was genuine optimism in the Ferrari camp. Even Hamilton seemed different during his Saturday evening interviews, more relaxed, more confident, talking about patience and playing the long game. The narrative was building beautifully. This was going to be the weekend where it all clicked, where frustration finally transformed into fire. But here's what nobody realized. They were celebrating a mirage. Sunday morning brought the first crack in the facade. A yellow flag investigation for potentially ignoring flags in the pit entry zone. Minor, almost insignificant, but it hung over the team like a dark cloud. In a sport where margins are measured in thousands of seconds, even the smallest distraction can prove costly. The race start was clean. Hamilton launching well, tucking in behind Russell. Both drivers settling into their tactical rhythm. The rain everyone had predicted was building, and Hamilton was playing it perfectly, managing his tyres, staying within DRS range, saving his attack for when conditions would inevitably shake up the order. Then came the call that changed everything. Box, box. Ferrari had seen their window. The undercut opportunity that could leapfrog Hamilton past Russell and potentially into the points-paying positions. Hamilton responded immediately, his voice calm but determined. He could sense the opportunity, the chance to salvage something from a weekend that had promised so much chaos. What happened next reveals the brutal truth about pressure in Formula One and why even seven-time world champions aren't immune to its effects. Turn 3 at Zandvoort. The banking was just starting to get slick from the approaching rain. The painted line at the top, treacherous in the best of conditions, had become a death trap. Hamilton pushed just a fraction too wide, searching for that extra tenth that would make the undercut work perfectly. The grip vanished instantly. The rear snapped with violent suddenness. There was no time to catch it, no moment of recognition, no chance to save it. The car spun. The left front slammed into the barrier, and in that instant, everything Ferrari had worked toward crumbled. The silence that followed was deafening. Not just from Hamilton's radio, but from the entire Ferrari garage. This wasn't mechanical failure. This wasn't bad luck. This was human error at the worst possible moment. and everyone knew it. Hamilton's apology came quickly over the radio, and his tone said everything you needed to know. This was a driver who understood exactly what had just slipped through his fingers. Not just his own race, but the entire team's strategy, the momentum they'd been building, the narrative of resurgence they'd been crafting. The safety car that followed neutralized everything Ferrari had planned. From a potential two-car points haul to 0 in seconds, from hope to devastation in the space of a single corner, it's impossible to overstate how crushing that moment was both symbolically and tactically. But here's what makes this crash truly significant. It wasn't just about one mistake. It was about what that mistake revealed about the entire Ferrari-Hamilton project. Charles Leclerc's race subsequently spiraled into its own strategic mess, compounded by a lack of grip and a car that looked completely lost on the damp surface. Suddenly, Hamilton's crash took on even more weight. It became the trigger that exposed just how fragile this entire Ferrari operation still is under pressure. And what happened in the media pen afterwards? That's where the story gets truly revealing. No shouting match, no finger pointing, no defiant quotes designed to deflect blame or stir controversy. Instead, Hamilton offered something far more telling: near complete silence. This wasn't the silence of indifference.